Not Made and the last video of 2025. I'm Rachel, and today is going to be a little bit of a pattern review, and I may talk about some goals for 2026. Let's just do it. Okay, so I wanted to talk today about what I've made so far in the last week. So this will be kind of one of my what I made videos, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about what my goals are for 2026, possibly. So last year I made a video kind of sort of like this where I posted some goals and it instantly didn't happen, as resolutions are wont to do. Okay, so I want to be careful with what I commit to. I don't want to overcommit because I would like to make progress towards my goals. And a lot of these are just personal. It's not like I'm trying to create an entire business conglomeration over Not Made. I mean, it would be kind of fun if I could make my cozy hobby a business that actually worked for me. But right now, I just want to focus on enjoying it. So that is my goal. But I have to share with you my shirt. It says Yarnivore. My husband got me this with a yarny dinosaur. This was one of my Christmas gifts, and the other one I got was socks. Let me see if I can show you, okay? This is weird. If you can read this, I don't have enough flexibility. Bring me my yarn, okay? So, don't ever tell anybody about that. It was a good Christmas. I hope you guys enjoyed your holiday. If you celebrate, I know in my head that New Year's is just a calendar date. It's the same old problems I had the day before that I'm bringing with me into the next day. But in my mind, it has always felt like a fresh start. And I know there's a lot of different opinions on whether we should even be doing resolutions, because statistically so often they fail. But I like to challenge myself to be better. And I have learned over the years, as I thinking through what I would like to experience is more how I like to frame it, not necessarily what I want to accomplish or goals that I would like to accomplish, although sometimes that is part of it. I like to think about more of what I want to experience in the upcoming year, and then steps that I need to do to get to that, if that makes any sense. And I try to keep it super simple, focusing on just a couple main things that are super top priorities, and then I add little kind of offshoots too. So I have mine pretty much done for my personal list, my personal goals, and then I have kind of a separate category in my brain about what I want to do with yarn stuff, because it feels, I don't know, it feels like something different. Maybe it's not. Maybe it should all just be on one list, but it just kind of helps me to compartmentalize things a little bit sometimes. But before we get into that part, let's talk about what I have made. Now, I published my last video, I think, like on Christmas Day. I don't even remember now. It was not, I waited a couple of days after I had taken the video before I was able to edit and publish it, so it wasn't exactly on time. So it has not been an official full week since that video, but I wanted to showcase these particular patterns because these are all patterns that I purchased. So I have gone on a little bit of a pattern purchasing spree, which is not normal for me. I have purchased certain patterns in the past. Man, I cannot talk with the P words today. And I just haven't made a lot of patterns that I purchased. I don't know what the deal is with that. I purchased one Lovey. It was this little sloth Lovey / snuggler, and I got just, I think, overwhelmed by the idea of making all of the little toes, which is ridiculous. It's not that hard. I just hate working tiny amounts of stitches in the round. That makes me a little bit crazy, and so I just haven't done it. But this year I hope to do more of the paid patterns and kind of review those on my channel. But so today we're going to talk about the first one that I made. And I made this, I think I started the day after Christmas. I have a little nephew who's turning 2 in February, so I'm getting a head start, which is good. It's always better to be more prepared than not. And so I texted my brother about what he likes, because I really like the idea of the book buddies where you kind of crochet a item that matches the character in the book, a children's book, you know. And I think that's just such a sweet idea because I love books and I love crochet, so why not combine the two, right? But I asked my brother if my nephew had any favorite books, or I was thinking the Mouse Cookie book. Of course, everybody probably already has that one, but I love that series, so I will probably make some book buddies with that series in mind sometime this year maybe. But he told me that my nephew really loves a Biscuit book. Biscuit is the puppy in the books, so he has one already, and I went ahead and found a I think a collection of maybe 5 of the Biscuit stories on Amazon, so I'm gonna get him that. And then I found a pattern. This was by Mama Made Minis. It did not happen to be, of course, in the book of hers that I purchased from Premier when they had their Black Friday sale. So I went to this first and I was like, oh, surely there's a dog. There's a fox, but I don't think the ears would be right. And so I went to her site, and of course she had one that would have been perfect. Now her pattern, this was, oh, let me find it. Okay, so this is a mini Pepper Pup Knotted Lovey by Mama Made Minis. So it's even smaller than her normal loveys, I believe. I don't know, I think she has some different sizes. So these ones look like they might be a little bit bigger than this one works up to be. So it's a mini Pepper Pup. Now the pattern is for a pup with spots. I just decided to do it with a solid because I wanted one that looked like Biscuit. So that's what we went with. And as I was looking through my yarn, because, okay, I've got the stash, right? It's starting to look a little bit better. I'm trying to get through some organization in here. But I had one ball of this color, and I believe this was a Big Twist plush. I didn't have the paper, or I didn't have the wrapper for it anymore. It does not feel like Bernat unless it is like maybe baby blanket. I don't know what this color is, but this was the closest color to the little yellow pup that I had. You know, I didn't want to do like a bright yellow like that. I wanted it to look more like Biscuit the dog, obviously, on the book. So I looked at the pattern, and it said to use, I think it said approximately 112 grams of yarn. So I just don't weigh stuff. I don't think about that. It's just one extra step. And again, I just want to enjoy the process. So I got out my kitchen scale and I weighed that a ball of yarn, and it was 140, I want to say ish grams. I made a mistake on this pattern. You're supposed to work the head with a smaller hook because obviously the head is the only part on this that is stuffed. So you want these stitches to be very, very tight and snug so that you can't see any stuffing through. And then the body and the arms and the ears may have been the smaller hook size too. I can't remember now. But the body in particular, the unstuffed part of the snuggler, is supposed to be a little looser, so you're supposed to use a bigger hook for that. But I forgot to change hook sizes, which is really good that I didn't, because I used every little bit of that ball of yarn. In fact, the tail is not even as big as it's supposed to be because I didn't have enough left to do as many rounds as I was supposed to and then be able to sew it on. So I just made the tail a little bit nubbier, which I think is fine. But yeah, this was my first snuggler. So I loved that it worked up the way it did. She does have you sew on the arms, of course the ears, the tail, those all have to be stitched on. I did not do that. I crocheted in the arms, and I will do that every single time where it is even remotely possible. If it's not possible, then I will sew. But if it's possible to crochet it in, then I will take that option 100% of the time. Obviously, I had to sew on the ears and the tail, but I did crochet in the arms. So this was my first snuggler. This was, again, a pattern by my Mama Made Minis on well, she has her own website, but I got it on Etsy because I had some other things in my cart as well, and I believe the pattern was for $8. And it came with 2 variations also, so you could do a dog with spots, like different colored ears, and you could do one that had like a little mask, just like a white mask down the face, and then like white paws, white arms, you know, whatever. So it had all of the instructions for those color changes in the pattern. So, and then I did embroidered eyes, which I was super proud of myself because this was the first time I've ever tried doing like this. I've done just regular eye dots for like the maple chickens and stuff before, but yeah, I wanted to make sure this was little child friendly as possible, so no plastic parts, and he's super soft and squishy, and I love him. As I mentioned in my last video, I wanted to do a little challenge for myself to make all of the Poggy's Place Critterlings. So I started with the 3rd part of that pattern pack, which I didn't know I had until she reminded me when I was trying to make that penguin. So I did 3 patterns so far that I hadn't done before. And then I kind of had to stop because I ran out of 8mm safety eyes. Those should be getting in here sometime soon because I did have to order those. So, but yeah, I'm completely out. They are all gone. So the first one that I did this week was the seal, the little seal pup. Look at it. Is it not just so cute? Look at him. He's got his little tail. So I love the seal, and these do use a safety nose as well, which the only reason I have those is because when I first started doing amigurumi, I just purchased a just a random box. I think it was this one actually. This one right here with all the little, looks like a tackle box, and it has some safety noses in it. I think I only have a couple more of this size, and I don't think I'm going to get more. I would rather just embroider a nose than to use these. They don't stay on as well as the safety eyes even, I've noticed, and this one seems to be on pretty well, but I've been double backing them when I use them because they just don't seem as stable. So that could just be the brand that I have. I don't know. Anyway, I have no comments really on this one. This one worked out fine. It was really easy to do. Of course, you do the tail after, but the little flippers are crocheted in. The second new one that I did was the little dino. And I just haven't gotten on the dino bandwagon. I'm going to make some more of these guys. I feel like his eyes should have been a little bit more forward. I don't know. Not hard, not a difficult pattern at all. One thing that I didn't like was when I was making the spikes, it feels like it was weird. I mean, they don't look the same on both sides, obviously, because that's just the nature of crochet, but I was able to kind of finagle it a little bit so it didn't look so gappy or weird. But I think I'm going to make a few of these in different colors and see how they go at the market, just because, did I have somebody ask for a dinosaur? I feel like maybe somebody did and I didn't have any, but I can't remember. I cannot remember. But yeah, I haven't gotten into the Brontosaurus thing or the Triceratops or whatever. I have a bunch of patterns saved. Maybe I should do like a dinosaur roundup or something sometime, so I force myself to make some dinos, but it's just not been something that's like been on my mind as something that I want to make. So, but that dino pattern was pretty easy. It's obviously worked from snout to tail, and the only thing you have to do after the fact is put the spikes on. So that one was an easy peasy lemon squeezy pattern. So I will be making more of those. Then the last one was a little fox, which mine turned out looking more like a red panda, I feel like, because of the color. I didn't have any rust, so I just ended up using this like reddish color. Also, I did not read the pattern correctly, and the belly is supposed to be white too. It's supposed to continue on, the white is supposed to continue on through the belly. By the time I remembered that, I had already passed that part, and I was very frustrated with this pattern. So it's not the pattern necessarily. It's not the fault of the pattern. I don't know that I will make a lot of these. Actually, I like him a lot. I think he's really cute. But because the tail is worked separately and then stitched in, And because of all the color changes, this tiny little guy takes quite a bit longer than any of the other patterns that I've made so far of the Critterlings, which isn't a big deal, except that these guys, the size wise, I would have them at the $5 price point, which doesn't seem as great when it takes me so much longer to make them. And it could have just been because this pattern, was a little trickier with how they did the muzzle. I think if I did it again, I probably could shave some minutes off. Definitely could, because I've done it, right? So I may make more of these guys and set them in their own separate container and charge like $1 more for them, just so that it doesn't feel like I'm just giving this away, because I think it is super cute, and I would need to get some more fox colored yarn, because to me, now you tell me, does this look like a red panda or does this look like a fox? I think it's cute, but there is a lot of color changes with the muzzle and the feet, and then of course after the fact, well, you crochet in the tail, but you have to start with the tail first, so that's a whole separate thing, and then you do the ears after. So that one just took a little bit longer, and I just found it personally frustrating. It was just a me thing that day. It had nothing to do with the pattern necessarily, but I was so glad to get it done. So those are the 3 patterns that I've done so far on the pattern pack that I bought from Poggy's Place. I'm gonna need to choose 2 more, and I would like to do them all eventually, but I'm still picking and choosing the ones that feel like like I should be making them right now. So I still want to make the ones I want to make. And then again, I haven't decided if I'm going to try to do a bunch of multiples. Well, I do want to do more of the baby seals just because they're super sweet, and I want to do a few different colors of the dinos just to see how they do at a market. So my last make of the week was this guy, and he is a pattern in the book I got, so that's him right there. He is, let me tell you what his name is. Let's find him. I will say this book is very well done. I love the paper. I love the way it feels. There are so many instructions in the beginning on how to do the various steps of the levies, because they're all assembled in, very similar ways. So it gives you a lot of tips on how to go about doing them, and I think that that's extremely helpful. So this is Dash Dino, and the yarn that I used was maybe Chenille Home Slim. It might have been Sweet Snuggles Light. It was one of the Michaels brands. And this is the color turquoise. I didn't have a green that really, would have worked for him. I think he is so soft and squishy. So super soft and squishy. I think if I had done it in Bernat, my hands would be super, super mad. But this yarn just glided on the hooks, and I actually did manage to make his body the right size with the right hook, so you can see how it's, it's gappy, but it's supposed to be, because it's just supposed to be squishable. So again, I did embroider his eyes. I'm super happy with how they turned out. Very, very cute, and it's super simple. So I don't know why I have had such a mental block about doing embroidered eyes, because they worked out well. So the pattern again calls for the arms to be sewn in, which I did not. I crocheted them in. I crocheted them in a row higher than what I did with Biscuit. So I should have probably done Biscuit's a row higher as well, because you can see his neck is a little bit there, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So anyway, Dash the Dino got his, and I crocheted those in, and then the spikes have to get sewn on. The tail obviously has to get sewn on. Now, these little spikes were all supposed to be created with a magic ring and just a row of stitches and then sewn on as well. And there, I was not going to do that. Not for something this size. So this is just a bobble that I bobbled in for those. Obviously, these had to be crocheted on and sewn in. But all of these, I just did bobbles. So, I think the pattern's fine. That's just a lot of work for a tiny little bubble, basically, and if I could just make it into a bobble instead of do that, I don't know why you wouldn't do that. I don't know. I'm sure they have reasoning behind how they make their patterns, and maybe they just like the way it looks better because, you know, baubles can look like baubles, but to me, the picture in the book, they look like baubles anyway. Let me show you. Okay, so this was the picture for the assembly, and you can see, yeah, all those little guys, 6 of them. See how they look like little baubles, but they've just been crocheted and then stitched in. And I didn't want to do that, so I didn't do it. And, you know, that's fine. I don't think you have to 100% follow a pattern for it to be a great pattern or for it to work for you. I think you just got to take the parts that work for you and then change up the parts that don't. So normally I don't like doing things that require extra sewing. So just the fact that this had a tail and these spikes, you know, that I had to sew on after the fact was already, you know, stretching it a little in my usual world. So, but this was the first one I made out of the Knotted Lovies book, and I would like to make all of her patterns out of that book since I have it. So now let's get into our New Year's resolutions, shall we? One of the goals or resolutions, if you will, that I would like to have for 2026 is to make all of the patterns that I've purchased. Now, I unfortunately have gone on a little bit of a purchasing spree recently on Etsy, and I mean, maybe it's not unfortunate. I found patterns that I really want to make. I have not been a big pattern purchaser up to this point because in my mind there are so many free patterns that, like, why do I need to spend money on something when I can just find a free pattern? It may not be the same, it may not whatever, but there's free patterns out there. But I don't know, partly because I think that people who put the work into making these patterns deserve to be supported and a lot of these designers also have a lot of free patterns, so it's not like the only thing you get from them is paid. And I think that that's really generous of them. So anyway, all of that to say, I have had a few pattern purchases. Obviously, the pattern pack from Poggy's Place. I want to get through all 30 of those. And then the Mama Made Minis book. So there are, how many in here? Does it say? 16. There's 16 patterns in here. I'm 1 down, so 15 left to go. I think that that's great. And then I have recently purchased a few patterns on Etsy. I've purchased a couple of pig patterns because, as I mentioned, I want to do some book buddies, and I love the If You Give a Mouse a Cookie line of books. So I purchased the Oak and Marlowe's Fable collection. Is it Oak and Marlowe? Yes. I purchased her Fable collection. Well, I purchased the several bundles because she also has released the Fable Baby mod, which you have to have the original pattern, the bigger Fable critter, before you can even use the mod. I was really interested in her Fable Babies, but then I like her Fable critters as well. So I got a bundle with a kitty, mouse, and bunny. And I got a woodland bundle with a fox, fawn, and bear. So I got those, and then I got the baby mod. So that was a lot. That was a lot of patterns. And then she also had a cookie, a little chocolate chip cookie that you could crochet for, it was like less than $2 for the Give a Mouse. Her mouse was in overalls like the If You Give a Mouse a Cookie mouse. So that's kind of what sold me on that one. So I want to use that to create a book buddy with the Give a Mouse a Cookie. And then I wanted to do the If You Give a Moose a Muffin. I'm not sure about that one because moose are challenging patterns just with all of the piecing. And I haven't found one yet that I'm interested in doing for that book in particular, but I've got it in the back of my mind. So if I find a moose pattern, if you know of a moose pattern that you think would be appropriate for that book, then yeah, tell me about it in the comments. But I did find a pig pattern that I wanted to do. I actually ended up buying 3 pigs because I just couldn't. One of them was on sale for $1. It was from Todd and James, which used to be Madeline Maid Co. I didn't realize that the name had changed, so I was completely oblivious when I purchased this that it was her old shop. That was on sale for $1, so I had to get that one. That was Paisley the pig. And then I had found another Mama Made mini pig, mini Paya pig. Oh my goodness, I can't even. But what's it with the P words today? So it would probably be along the same size as the biscuit. It's because it's a mini snuggler. So there was that one, and then the one that I'm really excited about making is Pipsy the pig, and that one was from Snuggle Beans Crochet, and it's a splooting pig. So I feel like the pig on If You Give a Pig a Pancake has a very specific look. I don't know if I can recreate it with this pattern completely, but I love the way this one worked and the way that the really large eyes looked on it. So I'm going to try this one. I did have to purchase bigger eyes, so I just did an Amazon order. For those, I haven't gotten into the hand painted eyes yet. I just can't bring myself to do it. But anyway, I'm looking forward to doing those. So I might do a little piggy pattern roundup. I also purchased a pattern that looks like the pigeon on Don't Let the Pigeon Ride the Bus. Did you guys ever read that book to your children? I worked in preschool for some time before and right after I was married, and that is a favorite of preschoolers. So if you have young children who would love to scream the word no, then you have to do Mo Willems' Don't Let the Pigeon Ride the Bus. It's a hilarious book. It makes me laugh every single time. So anyway, there's a creator. It was Hooktazy.y? Hooktazy, not .y, just y. 2 y's. On Etsy, who has a Mo Willems inspired pigeon. So anyway, I went ahead and got that as well. So that is where we're at right there. That's one of the things that I would like to do for as far as a goal in 2026. Hang on, I gotta plug you guys in. My phone is trying to die on me. There we go. Is it gonna cooperate now? We'll see. Okay, so there's that goal. I want to make the patterns that I've already purchased. Second goal is I want to get rid of all of my acrylic yarn, and by get rid of, I don't mean just donate it or give it away. That was something that I was planning on doing last year. I threw all of the stuff that I knew I was never going to use into a big polyfill box, and it just sat in here for the entire year because I just couldn't bring myself to take it to Goodwill. And then my girls started kind of getting into doing crochet, so they started little blankets of their own, and I let them use whatever they wanted to out of that box. Well, I have a knitting machine, and I have decided I'm going to knit up all of the acrylic yarn that I have into beanies that I will sell for cheap at my markets, or some probably do some twisted headbands as well, because I think that those are fun, and I can sell them for quite a bit lower price point than I could if I crocheted them. So I have the machine, I have the yarn, I have the know-how, and I just need to do it. So that is one of the other things that I would like to do. And then as far as YouTube goes, again, last year I made all of these resolutions and I didn't do any of them, so I'm hesitant to say, but I would like to post, you know, what I made at least, okay, we're gonna make a small goal, at least monthly, okay, at least monthly what I made, and if I can do weekly, then I will definitely try for that. But we're going to stick with a monthly goal at this point, just so that that can be something I know I can do. And we'll see how that goes and how it all works out. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty optimistic for next year in a lot of ways. I'm happy to let this year go and put it all behind us, and just hoping good things for the upcoming months. So yeah, stick around. You never know what you might see on here. But that's all I've got for you today. I will talk to you guys the next time. Hope you have an amazing new year. Bye.